Hello students. Now we left with the last topic, that is a flexible budget. So I'm going to do two questions which we have already done in our class in Excel. So first question is, a company producing an electronic toy estimates the following factory overhead per month for producing 5,000 units of a toy. So you have been given the estimated material for 5,000 toys, indirect labor, inspection costs, expendable tools, heat, light, power, supervision costs, depreciation and factory rent. Indirect material and indirect labor and expendable tools are entirely variable. So these are the variable cost. Heat, light, power and inspection costs are variable to the extent of 50% and 40% respectively. Other costs are fixed per month. Prepare a flexible budget for the factory overhead at the production level of 4,000 and 6,000 level of unit per month. Also find out the average factory overhead cost per unit of all these levels. So I have divided the uh, cost into different types of cost: variable cost, semi-variable cost and fixed cost. And in the semi-variable cost we have a two component. First is the variable component and second is the fixed component. Now we have been given the total cost at the 5,000 unit of toys. So this is the total. 20,000 material is required for 5,000 unit of toys and so on. So here what we have to do is, because we have to make a flexible budget where we can find out the cost of producing 4,000 and 6,000 toys. So first we have to estimate the per unit cost in case of the variable cost. So how we will do that? We know that 20,000 cost is for producing the 500 toys. So we can find out the per unit cost by dividing this cell by this cell. Okay. Now, because the same formula will also apply for the indirect labor and expendable tools, where this cell will be fixed. So we can make our job easier by making this cell as a fixed cell by pressing F4. So as we press F4, this cell will become fixed. Now we get the per unit cost of indirect material is 4. Now I can drag this and I can easily get the per unit cost for the of labor and expendable tools. Okay. Now similarly, now we have to find out the cost for the 4,000 unit of uh, this 4,000 unit of twice. So how I can do is, I have to multiply this cell by this. Now again, if I want to drag this formula, I have to make this cell fix. So I will press function 4 and will make this cell fix. Now this is the total cost of indirect material at 4,000 units. Now I will drag this and I can get the cost of indirect labor and expendable tools. Now for the inspection cost, the total inspection cost is given to 12,000 and it is given here the 40% is fixed. So either you can calculate yourself or you can do the calculation also here, that 40% of 12,000 is fixed, sorry, variable, and the rest is fixed. So here I will give the cell. Okay. Now again for the variable part, what I will do is I will find out the per unit cost, this divided by this. And for 4,000, what I have to do is I have to multiply the per unit cost with this cell, and the 7,200 will remain fixed. Now similarly for heat and lighting, the total cost is 8,000 and 50% is variable. Either you can directly put the figure. Now again we have to, for the variable component, I have to find out the per unit cost, and for 4,000, so I have 4,000, I have to multiply the per unit cost with the cell, and this will remain the same. Now the fixed cost will also remain same, or I can do this also, I can drag this. Okay, and now for the total I will find out the sum. This comes out to be 91 and 80,040 rupees. Now we also have to find out the average cost per unit. Now we will do this divide by, so 18 rupees 20 paisa. You can do the formatting later on. Now we have to calculate the total cost for the 6,000 unit also. So we don't need to do all the calculation again. How you can do this is, here I will bring some list where I can choose the output in units, and by choosing the output in units I can get the total cost. For that, what you have to do is you have to make a list here. For example, I want to find out the total cost at 2000, 3000, 4000 unit. So write some figures here. So I'm taking up to 10,000. Now at this, select this cell where you have written the units of output. Go to data. In the data, you have to go to data tools. I again repeat, select the cell where you have written the output and then go to data. In data, you have data tools. Select here and collect the data validation. So as you collect the data validation, a window will open where you have to allow, and here at allow, you have to allow list. Okay, you have to allow list. Now go to source. In the source, you have to give the range of these outputs and then click OK. Now as you click OK, now you can see you here you get a button here, and by choosing then you can choose any level of output, and as you choose any level of output, your cost is automatically calculated. Now again, for similarly I can do for the 5,000 also. You can see it here, the cost is same. For 4,000 it's this. So this was the first question. Okay, I hope you all understand this. Now come to question number 2. This also we have done in our class. It's a budget manager of Sunflower Limited is preparing flexible budget for the accounting year starting from April 1st, 2022. The company produces one product, namely SFI. Direct material cost is 14, direct labor is 5 per hour and require 1.6 hour to produce 1 unit of SFI. Salesmen are paid commission of 2 per unit sold. Fixed selling and administrative expenses amounting to 1,70,000 per year. Manufacturing overhead is estimated in the following values. So you have been given two volume of production, 120 and 150, and you have been given the different expenses here, and you have to prepare a total cost budget at 1,40,000 units. Now you have been given the expenses at different level, two level of production, so you have to find out how much is variable, whether all it is all the cost is variable or semi variable, and if it is a semi variable, then you have to find out the variable component and fixed component. So this we will do in a working notes. So here I have prepared, because we have prepared a flexible budget at 140,000 units of output. Now direct labor, for the direct labor the value is already given to you, that the direct labor is 14 rupees per unit, and for the direct material it's 14 rupees per unit, and for the direct labor it is 5 per hour, and for one product of SI you require 1.6. So I will get 8 rupees labor for one. Salesman commission is also given 2 rupees, and now we have to find out at for 140 what I can do is this multiply by again this. Okay, so here also I can make it fixed, because I have to drag it for every other's cost also. So we can get a sales commission and indirect labor and material. Now for the indirect material, there we have to find whether it is all fixed, whether it is semi-variable, and if it is semi-variable, how much is variable and fixed. So what I have already done, I have written these two outputs and different costs given at these two outputs. Now how I will find out that how much is variable or per unit? So that for finding out the per unit, the formula is you have to take the difference between these two cells, or the cost at different level of output. Then you have to divide it by this minus this, or you can say change in cost divided by the change in output. Now you know, if we have to apply the same formula for all, where you can say the cost may be different but level of the unit of output will remain the same. So what I have to do is we have to make it um, this fixed. Similarly we have to make it fixed also. Now we can get the per unit cost, and now I will drag this formula here. Now you can see I these are the variable cost or you can say you got some variable cost per unit for these costs, but for these two costs you don't get any variable cost, so it means these two costs are the fixed one. Okay, so total variable, how you will find out the total variable for any level of for 1,20,000 of output, if I want to find out this, multiply by 120. Okay, if I'm finding out at 120, again I can fix it here. So this is the variable cost at 120. Yes, you can see it here also. And now I will drag it. So now I can find out that this is the total variable cost. So I can see it here, that here in the case of the indirect material and indirect labor, the and inspection cost, it is all variable, because the total variable cost at 120 is same as the given. But here in the case of maintenance and supervision, so these two costs are the semi variable, where the variable proportion is this. And now we have to find out the fixed proportion, and for the depreciation and engineering, all are the fixed cost. So how you will find out the fixed cost? This minus this, and then drag. So you can see that these three are the total variable cost, these are the semi variable, where this is the fixed portion, and these are the total fixed cost. So now here I can write it here. For indirect material it is 4.4, then 2.5, then it is 1.5, 1.2. It's for 1.2 and 2.4 semi variable. So here I will have to introduce insert cell. Oh, sorry, it should be below that. So here I am writing variable, and here it is. So this is the variable component, and this is the fixed component. What we can do is I am giving the this alignment. Similarly for the supervision also I have to insert. Okay, so for the maintenance the variable is 1.2, and for this 2.4. And the fixed is 24,000 and 1,08,000. And depreciation and engineering is fixed 180 and 188. And it is selling is given as 1,00,000. Okay, now for this I can drag the formula here also. Here I can also do it, but here I'm writing it like this. And for the total you will take sum. Okay, similarly we can also make it for 140, 130 and so on. So I'm taking at 1,10,000, 120. Okay, what you have to do is again select this, go to data, data tools, data validation, select list here, and then source is this, and then okay. Now you can calculate for any level of output. So we have been given 120. I'm clicking at 120. So this is the cost. Okay,